And he asked me, Mr. ROHN, what's the secret, what's the big secret to success? And I told him that it's not one big secret, it's a handful of small disciplines, practiced every day. That's the truth, because discipline WIGHS ounces, regret that WIGHS tons. And most people spend a lifetime, FIGURING, out the difference. See, discipline is when you set the alarm clock, and when it rings at 6 you get up. Regret is when you let it ring, turn it off, and roll back over. Discipline is when you eat an apple instead of the candy bar. Regret is when you walk into the doctor's office and he tells you your health is gone. Discipline is PAYING, your bill's on time. Regret is when the creditor comes knocking, ounces versus tons, small versus heavy, easy versus costly. Now, here's the strange thing, discipline seems hard in the moment. But it's light when you carry it, you lift it up, you take care of it, and it's gone. You feel lighter, but regret doesn't come until later, and when it comes it lands with a thud. You don't shake it off in a day, it lingers, it WIGHS on your conscience, it WIGHS on your reputation. It weighs on your OPPORTUNITIS. That's why I call it tons. Mr. SHOAF always told me, pay now, play later, or play now, pay later, but either way you're going to pay. And I thought, what a way to put it. Life always sends the bill. The only question is, will it cost you ounces, or will it cost you tons? Here, let me paint a little picture. Imagine two piles on this side. You've got a small stack of WIGHTS. An ounce here, an ounce there. That's discipline. You can carry that. You can pick it up each morning, put it in your pocket, and move on with your day. Over here, GH is a mountain, and you can't even budget. That's regret. And one day, if you're not careful, you'll wake up and realize you traded those little OUNCES. You could have carried for the mountain you can't move. I'll tell you why this struck me so hard. I grew up in Idaho. I was a farm boy. My father was a good man, hard-working, honest, but he never caught on to this idea of discipline in the right way. He worked hard physically, but he didn't develop financially. He didn't learn about saving, investing, planning, and when he was old he had health problems and no money. That's regret. And I said to myself, as a young man, I don't want to carry that weight. I'd rather take the OUNCES. Now here's the good news. You don't have to carry yesterday's REGRETS into tomorrow. You can set them down and start picking up the OUNCES. Maybe you've let yourself slide a little. Maybe you've put off the reading, the planning, the exercise, the saving. Fine, don't let it pile up now. Pick up 1 ounce today, do one discipline thing today, because those ounces added up over the years turn into wealth, health, vitality, reputation, and happiness. So I tell people, don't get tricked by the weight. Don't think discipline is too heavy. Don't think it's too much to ask. What's heavy is the hospital bill. What's heavy is the bankruptcy. What's heavy is the lost friendship, the missed opportunity, the wasted talent. Those are the tons. The ounces are the push UPS. The ounces are the early morning hour with the book. The ounces are the few dollars you set aside. That's light, that's easy, that's the price of a better future. And if you'll take it from me, from the farm boy from Idaho who had to learn this the hard way, discipline is the magic bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and the bridge is built ounce by ounce. One of the greatest discoveries of my life was this: success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. That was a revelation to me. And the way you become that person is through discipline, the ounces. Now, when I was 25 years old, I was broke, I was embarrassed, I had a family, and I couldn't pay my bills. Somebody said, how could a guy work hard all day and still be broke? Easy. You work hard on your job, but you don't work hard on yourself. That was me. I had a job. I had activity, but I wasn't growing, I wasn't reading the books. I wasn't listening to the tapes, I wasn't taking notes, I wasn't setting goals. And that's when Mr. Schoef came along and said, Jim, if you want life to change, you've got to change. That hit me. He told me that discipline is the beginning of a miracle. I didn't understand that, so I asked him what he meant by it. And here's what he said. He said, every book you read is an ounce. Every class you attend is an ounce. Every goal you set is an ounce, and when you add those up, you attract the miracle. I thought, my goodness, I never saw it that way before. See, regret doesn't happen in one day. It sneaks up. It's the result of years of neglect, years of drifting, years of saying, you'll do it tomorrow. You skip the ounce today, you skip it tomorrow, and before long you got a ton. And the ton doesn't just weigh on your back, it weighs on your soul. You start saying things like, if only I had, if only I'd started SOONER, if only I'd LISTNED. That's a heavy vocabulary. But here's what I love. Discipline is daily, and daily, DISCIPLINES, turn into HABITS. And HABITS turn into a lifestyle. You can start small, a little discipline in the morning, a little discipline in the evening, a few ounces. That's all I tell people. Don't try to change your whole world overnight. That's a good way to get discouraged. Just pick up an ounce. Read 410 minutes. Write down one idea. Walk 415 minutes. Save $5. That's like anybody can carry that. And if you do it today, and then you do it tomorrow, and then the next day, you're on your way. I remember Mr. Schofield told me to start keeping a journal. And I thought, what for? What do I have to write about? But you see, Mr. Schof saw something in me that I was having a hard time seeing. He said, Jim, one day your words might be valuable. You gotta capture them, capture your experiences, your ideas, your lessons. You can't leave that to your memory. And when a wise man says it's a good idea to do something, it's probably a good idea, right? So I started just a few notes at first, OUNCES. Over time, I built a treasure chest of ideas, stories, INSIGHTS. That journal became one of my most valuable possessions, not because it was heavy, but because it was filled with light. And all it cost me was a little discipline I couldn't imagine. The regret of never writing this stuff down, keeping a record how many people go through life and forget their lessons, forget their inspirations, forget the turning points. That's regret, and when they're old they say, I wish written it down. See, the ounces were there all along, but they passed them by. Here's a phrase I want you to remember: the smallest discipline, if done daily, can make the biggest difference over time. That's why I don't underestimate the little things. Because little things don't stay little, they compound. And when they compound, either work for you or they work against you. That's the difference between discipline and regret. So when people ask me, Mr. RONE, where should I start? I tell them, start anywhere, pick up an ounce. Doesn't matter if it's health, wealth, LATIONSHIP, career, just wait, because the longer you wait, the heavier it gets. And once regret sets, you'll wish you had started when it was light. Here's what I want every one of you to realize: if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and guess what they have planned for you? Not much. They got themselves to worry about. Let this be a wake-up call. It can be a little hard, yes, but it's simple. Designing your life is nothing more than discipline applied with a vision, a little planning, a little follow through, a little ounce today, a little ounce tomorrow. That's how you design a life. Think about it. You can drift for 5 years, or you can discipline yourself for 5 years. And those two paths don't take you to the same place. Drifting takes you somewhere you don't want to go. Discipline takes you somewhere you meant to be, and the price is small. Announce here, announce there. People say, but Mr. RONE, it's hard to discipline myself. It's hard to stick the diet, it's hard to quit smoking. Of course it is, but here's the key. It's harder not to, it's hard to read when you're tired, but it's harder to be stupid. It's hard to save when you want to spend, but it's harder to be broke. It's hard to exercise when you'd rather sit. But it's harder to be sick. Everything is hard. You just have to choose which hard you want. Ounces or tons. There are only two pains in life. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is measured in ounces. It's light, you feel it, but it doesn't crush you. The pain of regret, though, that's measured in tons. That's the pain that will sit on your chest and not let you breathe. That's the pain of if only, and every person must choose which pain they will endure. When I was a young man, I looked around some of my friends. We were all about the same age, same background, same town, but after a few years some were doing better. Some were doing worse, and that made me curious, and I started asking why. The answer wasn't luck, wasn't fate, it was discipline. Some picked up the ounces. Others ignored them, and over time the gap widened. One group was enjoying success. The other was drowning in regret. You see, success is not an event, it's a process, and regret is not an event. It's a process. Both take time to accumulate, and the question is, what are you accumulating? Ounces or tons? Are you stacking small disciplines that lift you up, or are you stacking small neglects that weigh you down? There's a Bible verse that says a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, and poverty shall come like a thief in the night. Notice, it doesn't say poverty comes all at once. It comes little by little, just as wealth, health, wisdom, and reputation come little by little. That's the way life works. Increment by increment, discipline by discipline. Now you don't have to be religious for that to make sense, to use that story as inspiration in your life. So if you've wasted the last 10 years, and it's easy to do, here's my question for you. How do you plan to spend the next 10 years? Because here's the truth, no matter how many tons you've collected, you can start again. You can pick up ounces today. You can change direction today. But you have to decide. Nobody can make that choice for you. Tell me, what ounces are you willing to pick up? Is it time to start your library? Is it time to take a walk in the morning? Is it time to sit down with your spouse and really talk? Is it time to put a little money away? Don't underestimate the small step. The small step is the seed of the giant oak. And don't wait for perfect timing. Perfect timing never comes. The seasons will always change. Winter will follow fall, spring will follow winter, summer will follow spring. That's set. What isn't said is what you do in the season. You can plant or you can procrastinate. You can pick up the ounces or you can pile up the regret. That choice is always yours. When I first started traveling and speaking, I noticed something interesting. People in every city, in every country, all had the same challenges, different languages, different customs, but the same struggle. They wanted success without discipline. They wanted the harvest without planting the seed. They wanted the reward without paying the price. And I tell them the same thing I'm telling you. You can't cheat the seasons. You can't skip the ounces. Let's say you plant in the spring. You plow the ground, you put in the seed, you water, you weed. You wait, come fall, you've got a harvest. That's the reward of discipline. Now suppose you skip the planting. You say, no way, that's just too much work. Well, in the fall you will have nothing but regret. That's the way life is built. It's fair, it's just. It gives each person the same seasons. The difference is whether you take the ounces or let them slip by. Discipline builds dignity. When you keep a promise to yourself, you walk taller. When you finish what you start, you look people in the eye. That's dignity, and it comes from discipline. Regret, on the other hand, stals dignity. It makes you hide, it makes you excuse, it makes you settle. And that's a heavy weight to carry. Now I want you to think about your reputation. That's another place where OUNCES matter. You show up on time, you keep your word, you do what you said you would do. Ounces, but over time, people trust you, they recommend you. They open doors for you, that's reputation on the other side. You miss appointments, you don't follow through, you cut corners, it doesn't seem like much at first. But those small neglects pile up, and pretty soon your reputation is gone, that's tons. Let's talk about money. Life isn't all about money, but it's something that we almost certainly have in common. So we gotta keep our eyes on our money, and money is another place where discipline is light. And regret is heavy. Saving $1 is light. Spending it all is light too, but the regret later is crushing. The ounce of discipline is to put something away each time you earn. Doesn't matter how small, that small habit repeated creates financial independence, but the ton of regret is to reach retirement with nothing set aside. Nothing to show for all those years of work. That's a burden nobody wants. Health works the same way. An ounce of discipline is to eat an apple. An ounce of discipline is to take a walk. An ounce of discipline is to skip the second dessert. But regret in health, that's the hospital. The medicine, the lost energy, the limited life. See how the principle never changes, ounces versus tons. And here's the big one that's easy to miss in the day-to-day RELATIONSHIPS. You see, RELATIONSHIPS are built on little DISCIPLINES. LISTNNG, writing a note saying thank you, being kind. Those are ounces, they don't take much. But regret in RELATIONSHIPS. That's the apology, never spoken, the call, never made, the time never given. And when the chance is gone, the regret is unbearable. So, here's the challenge I give you. Look across your life: health, wealth, time, RELATIONSHIPS. Career, learning. Where do you need to pick up the ounces? Don't try to do it all, just pick one area. 1 ounce today, because if you don't, those little neglects are going to turn into a weight too heavy to carry, and one day you'll look back and wish you had done the simple things when they were still simple. What's easy to do is also easy not to do, and that's where people get caught. The ounce of discipline is easy, but it's also easy to neglect. Reading a page is easy, skipping a page is easy. Saving $1 is easy, spending it is easy, taking a walk is easy, sitting down is easy. And life doesn't yell at you when you neglect the easy things, it just waits, and then one day it hands you the bill. And the bill always comes in tons, not ounces. That's why maturity is so important. Maturity is the ability to choose discipline today so you don't carry regret tomorrow. Maturity is saying, I'll take the pain now so I can enjoy the reward later. Children don't think that way. They want candy now, play now, spend now. Adults are supposed to see further down the road, but have you noticed? Some people never grow up. They're 40, 50, still chasing the shortcut, still avoiding the ounces. And what they get instead is regret. I'm telling you, life has 2 classrooms. The classroom of discipline and the classroom of regret. Both will teach you something. The difference is discipline, TACHES, you early, cheap, and light. Regret, TACHES, you late, expensive, and heavy. Which teacher do you want? When I first saw all those big houses in Beverly Hills, the nice cars, and all that, I'd think, I wonder what they know that I don't. Later I found out it wasn't one big secret. IT was a collection of small DISCIPLINES. Daily, consistent, ordinary DISCIPLINES stacked up over years. That's what built the house, that's what bought the car, that's what created the lifestyle. And it hit me success is not exotic, it's basic. It's doing the small things with discipline instead of letting them slide into regret. And do not forget, regret doesn't just cost you things, it costs you. It costs you the person you could have been. You don't just lose the money you didn't save. You lose the freedom, the options, the opportunities that money could have given you. You don't just lose the health you didn't protect, you lose the energy, the adventure, the vitality that health could have brought you. You don't just lose the relationship you didn't nurture. You lose the MEMORIS, the MOMENTS, the legacy you could have built. That's why regret WIGHS tons. It steals the unseen, not just the seen. Now some people ask Mr. RYAN, can I really turn IT around if I've already built up a mountain of regret? The answer is yes, but you must decide now. You can't change the past. But you can change the future. You can't get back yesterday. But you can start picking up ounces today. And here's the miracle: an ounce today not only creates future reward, it also lightens the load of past regret. Discipline has a way of redeeming lost time. So let me challenge you tonight: don't leave your life to chance, don't leave it to drift, LEADS to regret. Design LEADS to discipline, and discipline LEADS to success. Look at your calendar, look at your bank account. Look at your health, look at your RELATIONSHIPS. Each one is telling you. Are you picking up ounces or are you stacking tons? And if you're not happy with the answer, don't despair, just begin today. Pick up the book, take the walk, make the call. Save the dollar, write the idea, do the simple small ounce size things. Because over time, those ounces become the life you want, and if you don't, well, you already know the alternative. Discipline also shows up in your career. The ounce of being prepared, the ounce of learning a new skill, the ounce of arriving early. The ounce of giving more than you're paid for. That's how careers are built, and that's how influence is EARNED. But the regret of NEGLECTNG, your career, is watching others advance while you stay stuck. It's REALIZING. You had the chance but didn't take it. That regret will haunt you if you let it. And let me add one more: the spirit. Discipline in the spirit is daily reflection. Gratitude, prayer, study. It's keeping your values in front of you. That's ounces. But regret in the spirit is a restless soul, a life lived without purpose, without meaning. That's not just heavy, that's crushing. So here's the lesson: no area of life is exempt. Ounces of discipline add up to a harvest of reward. Tons of regret pile up to a life of sorrow. The question is not whether you'll carry something. The question is what everybody carries something. The disciplined carry ounces, the undisciplined carry tons. When you think about IT, the greatest gift you can give yourself is discipline. Because discipline gives you wealth without fear, health without regret, RELATIONSHIPS without bitterness, career without stagnation, and spirit without emptiness. Discipline is the ounce that opens the door to the good life. And the greatest tragedy I've seen is people who could have had it all but did not, because they weren't capable. Not because they weren't smart, but because they neglected the small disciplines. And then years later they carry the heavy weight of regret. And I don't want that for you. That's why I'm pressing this point so hard, because if you'll pick up the ounces, you'll never know the tons, and that's the way to live. But here's the thing. Discipline is not just about avoiding regret, it's about creating a life so rich, so full, so meaningful that regret never even has a place to land. Discipline doesn't just spare you from sorrow, it gives you joy, pride, freedom. That's the payoff. You see, life will ask you for the price. You can pay with ounces of discipline up front, or you can pay with tons of regret at the end. But imagine the alternative. Imagine being able to say, I did it, I built it, I became it, I lived it. That's the testimony of discipline. That's the weight that lifts you instead of crushing you. So tell me, what would your life look like if you really committed to discipline for the next 5 years? Just 5 if you read the book Save the Money, exercise the body, nurture the RELATISHIPS, sharpen the skills, what would happen? I'll tell you, you'd look back in 5 years and be amazed at the difference because discipline compounds. Ounce upon ounce, and suddenly you're living a life you once only imagined. But if you neglect it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll face the tons and you'll say, I wish I had done it differently, and there is no heavier phrase than that. Those words weigh more than gold, more than steel, more than stone. They crush the heart. That's why I'm challenging you tonight. I've met people at the end of their careers, at the end of their lives, and I've heard both kinds of stories. One group says, I'm glad I did it that way. The other says, I wish I hadn't. That's the DIVIDING line, discipline, or regret, OUNCES, or tons. So how do you make sure you're on the right side? You decide to pay the small price now. Instead of the big price later, you decide to trade ease for effort, comfort for growth, distraction for FOCU. You decide to pick up the book, lace up the shoes, make the call. Write the plan. You decide to pay ounces instead of tons. And here's the key, you don't wait for motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline is stronger than motivation. Discipline says, I'll do it, whether I feel like it or not. That's the power, and once you've practiced it, it becomes who you are. It becomes identity. You are disciplined. You are the kind of person who does what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And that identity is what carries you. Now think of the legacy you're building, because discipline isn't just about you. It's about those who watch you, follow you, learn from you, your children, your friends, your colleagues. They're watching, and when they see you practice discipline, they're inspired. They learn, and they too avoid the tons. But if all they see is neglect, if all they see is regret, that's the inheritance you leave them, and that's too heavy a weight to pass on. So tonight I urge you, pick up the ounces, not just for you but for everyone who depends on you. Everyone who looks to you, everyone who will one day remember you, because the memory of a disciplined life is light, uplifting, inspiring. The memory of a regretful life is heavy, sorrowful, and it lingers long after you're gone. Choose OUNCES, always OUNCES. They're light, they're doable, and they lead to the good life. Now, I want to close with this thought. Life is a balance sheet. On one side, discipline, on the other, regret, and every day, every choice you add to one column or the other. At the end of your life, the totals will be clear, and you'll either smile at the OUNCES you carried, or weep at the tons you collected, and the difference is so small. It's almost invisible. It's whether you get up when the alarm rings, whether you read a few pages, whether you make the call, whether you set aside the dollar, whether you take the walk. Small things, easy things, outsized things, and that's what makes life fair. Because anyone can do it. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be famous. You don't need a big degree. You just need the willingness to carry the ounces. Now let me tell you what happens when you practice discipline. You begin to respect yourself. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to walk with dignity, and that self-respect builds confidence. That confidence builds action. That action builds success, and success attracts more success. That's the cycle. It all starts with the ounce of discipline. And here's what happens. When you doubt yourself, you question yourself. You shrink, you make excuses, you justify, and that erosion of self respect is heavier than any physical burden. That's the weight of regret. That's what makes people bitter. Cynical small, that's why I say regret doesn't just weigh tons, it breaks the spirit, so the choice is yours. Ounces or tons, light or heavy, joy or sorrow. And don't think you have forever to decide. Life is short, the clock is ticking. And every day you delay, the ounces slip away, and the tons begin to form. That's the danger of neglect. It compounds silently, but so does discipline. That's the opportunity, and I want you to walk out of here tonight with a decision, a simple, clear decision to choose ounces, to carry them gladly. To make discipline your constant companion, not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because it's worth it for your health, your wealth, your RELATONSHIPS, your career, your future, your legacy. And years from now, when someone asks you what your secret is, you can tell them the truth. That you picked up the ounces so you never had to carry the tons, that you chose the light pain of discipline instead of the crushing weight of regret, that you designed your life instead of drifting into sorrow. That's the good life, that's the philosophy I've lived, and that's what I want for you. So tonight take the ounces, tomorrow take them again. And soon you'll look back and realize you built a life you're proud of, a life with no regrets. And that is the best reward any of us can ask for.